The doctor announced, "You're pregnant." And my husband's face lit up until his mother laughed and said, "Impossible. My son had a vasectomy last year." My heart pounded as my husband turned pale. "Tell me she's lying," he whispered. I pulled out a paper and said, "Then explain this." His jaw dropped and his mother collapsed. I never imagined my life would take such a turn. I'm a 32-year-old woman from Chicago, married to Mark, who's 34. We've been together for 10 years and have 2 wonderful kids, Emma, who's 8, and Noah, who's 6. After Noah was born, we both agreed that our family felt complete. Mark decided to get a vasectomy, and I supported his choice. He assured me it was done, and I trusted him. Lately, I'd been feeling off, nauseous, tired, and unusually emotional. At first, I thought it was just stress or maybe a bug going around. But when I missed my period, I started to worry. I decided to take a pregnancy test just to rule it out. I waited in the bathroom, heart pounding, as the seconds ticked by. When I finally looked, 2 bold lines stared back at me. Pregnant. I felt a mix of shock, confusion, and fear. How could this be possible? Mark had a vasectomy. That evening, after putting Emma and Noah to bed, I sat Mark down in the living room. I handed him the positive pregnancy test. "I'm pregnant," I said quietly. Mark's face went pale. "That's not possible," he whispered. "Well, it's happening," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. He stared at the test, then at me. "Are you sure it's mine?" I felt like I'd been slapped. "How can you even ask that?" "I had a vasectomy," he said, his voice rising. "And I trusted you," I shot back. "But here we are." We sat in tense silence. Finally, Mark spoke. "Maybe we should see the doctor together. Maybe there's an explanation." I agreed. We scheduled an appointment for the next day. At the doctor's office, I underwent another pregnancy test. The doctor confirmed it. I was indeed pregnant. Mark looked bewildered. "Doctor," he began, "I had a vasectomy 2 years ago. How is this possible?" The doctor looked at Mark, then at me. "No method is 100% effective," he explained. "There's a small chance of recanalization, where the vas deferens reconnects. It's rare, but it can happen." Mark seemed to relax a bit. "So, it's possible?" "Yes," the doctor nodded. "We'll need to do some tests to be sure." We left the office in silence. Once home, Mark turned to me. "I'm sorry for doubting you," he said. I nodded, tears welling up. "I need some time to process this." Over the next few days, we barely spoke. The tension was thick. I felt betrayed, confused, and hurt. I decided to stay with my sister for a while to clear my head. At my sister's place, I confided in her. She listened patiently. "You need to decide what's best for you and the kids," she said. I nodded. "I just don't know if I can trust him anymore." "Take your time," she advised. Days turned into weeks. Mark reached out multiple times, apologizing and asking me to come home. I wasn't ready. One evening, there was a knock on my sister's door. It was Mark. "Can we talk?" he asked. I hesitated, then nodded. We sat on the porch. "I messed up," he began. "I should have been honest about the vasectomy. I was scared. I didn't want more kids, but I didn't want to lose you either." I looked at him, searching his face. "Trust is broken, Mark." He nodded. "I know, but I want to rebuild it. For us, for Emma and Noah, and for the baby." Tears streamed down my face. "I need time." "Take all the time you need," he said softly. As the weeks passed, we attended counseling sessions. It was a long road, but we were committed to healing. Months later, as I held our newborn daughter, I realized that while trust takes years to build and moments to shatter, with effort and love, it can be rebuilt. So, we were trying. Counseling, talking more, showing up for the kids, going slow. Things weren't perfect between me and Mark, but we were making progress. I was back home. Emma and Noah seemed happy again. And our newborn, Sophie, was the only little light that made the heaviness in my chest a little easier to carry. Then, 3 months after Sophie was born, the real storm hit. It started with a bill. I was going through the mail one afternoon, half asleep from being up with the baby all night. One envelope stood out, medical billing from a private clinic. I didn't recognize the name. Mark's name was on it. I opened it without thinking. $340 for a consultation. 2 weeks before Sophie was born. Vasectomy reversal consultation, in bold letters at the top. My hands went cold. My stomach dropped. I sat there for probably 15 minutes, just staring at the paper. I reread the words. Over and over. I picked up my phone and called the number listed. Pretended I was Mark's assistant. Asked what kind of services the consultation included. Receptionist said, yes, he came in asking about reversing a previous vasectomy. We don't do it here, we referred him to a specialist. But he said it was just for information. He didn't book anything after that, as far as I know. I thanked her and hung up. I couldn't breathe. So, he lied twice. First, he never got the vasectomy. Then, when I got pregnant and he acted shocked, he already knew it was possible because 2 weeks before the due date, he'd been looking into a reversal. I felt sick. That night, I confronted him. Showed him the bill. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just asked, explain this. He stared at it. Then stared at me. I just wanted to know if it could be done, he said. I was thinking maybe, later, I'd change my mind. You were thinking about reversing a vasectomy that you told me you already had done? I asked slowly. He looked like a trapped animal. You let me believe Sophie was some medical miracle. You let me think I was losing my mind. You acted like you were blindsided. But you knew. You knew. I didn't know if it would work, because you never had the damn vasectomy in the first place. He was silent. I felt rage building in a way I had never felt before. Not even when I first saw the positive test. Not even when he accused me of cheating. This was different. This was betrayal that stretched across years. You made me question my body. You made me question my morality, Mark. He opened his mouth to speak. I stood up. No, don't talk. I'm done for tonight. I packed a bag and went to my friend Mia's place. She had a spare room and didn't ask questions when she saw my face. The next day, I called a lawyer. That's when I found out something that flipped everything on its head again. Mark had taken out a personal loan a few months earlier. $10,000. I hadn't seen any of that money. It wasn't in our joint account. I didn't even know about the loan. My lawyer found it while reviewing our financial records. When I asked Mark, he hesitated, then said it was for home repairs. I asked, what repairs? He couldn't answer. A week later, Mia and I drove past a small apartment complex on the south side. A woman was standing outside with a baby stroller. Mark came out of the building. He kissed the woman on the cheek. Picked up the baby. I froze. Time stopped. Mia whispered, do you want me to drive away? I said, no, I got out. Walked across the street. He didn't see me until I was 5 feet away. His face drained of color. Who is this? I asked. The woman looked confused. I'm Tasha. You are? I'm his wife. She blinked. I'm sorry, what? I turned to Mark. Want to explain, or should I? Tasha stepped back, holding the baby tighter. Wait, wife? You said you were divorced. He didn't respond. I laughed. Out loud. Right there in front of the building. Mark was having a second life. A second baby. He did reverse the vasectomy. He had lied about everything. The lies were layered like bricks, and I was buried underneath. Tasha looked at him and then at me. This baby is 6 months old. Sophie was only 3 months old. So Mark got her pregnant before he knew I was. He looked like he wanted the ground to open up and swallow him. Tasha started crying. I just stood there. Numb. Mia came up behind me. You ready? She asked quietly. I nodded. I didn't say another word to Mark. Not then. We walked away. 3 hours later, Tasha messaged me on Facebook. She said she had no idea he was married. Said she wanted to meet and talk. I agreed. The next day, we met at a diner. She brought receipts, texts, photos, proof. They'd been together for over a year. He told her we were separated and finalizing a divorce. Said I was unstable. Said he couldn't see his kids because of custody drama. He even used Sophie's due date to say Tasha's baby was born first. He twisted everything. She apologized. Over and over. I believed her. She was blindsided too. I told her, this isn't your fault. He played both of us. That night, I started writing everything down. Every date. Every lie. Every dollar. Every late night. Every missed call. Every excuse. I wasn't going to cry anymore. I was going to document it all. This wasn't just betrayal. This was war. I thought I had seen the worst of it. I thought finding out about the second baby, the secret apartment, the double life. I thought that was rock bottom. I was wrong. 2 weeks after I met with Tasha, she messaged me again. Can we meet? It's urgent. It's about something else, something big. We met at the same diner. Her hands were shaking as she slid her phone across the table. It's about money, she said. I looked down. There were screenshots, bank statements, transfers from my husband's account into hers. Thousands. At least $6,000. But I didn't ask for this, she said quickly. He said it was to help with the baby, that it was extra from his business. He said you guys weren't tied financially anymore. I scrolled through them all. Then I froze. There was one transaction that caught my eye. $200 to a woman named Sandy G. Description: therapy sessions. Except I'd heard that name before. Sandy G. was a name I saw on a flyer a year ago. She wasn't a therapist. She was a fertility consultant who worked discreetly with men trying to reverse vasectomies, often outside the system. Basically, a cash under the table workaround. He had never gone to a real doctor for the reversal. He paid someone privately, illegally, off the books. That's why nothing showed up in our insurance or official records. My mouth went dry. Do you know if she's real? I asked. Tasha nodded. I called her. Pretended I was someone else. She confirmed he came in. Paid cash. Had it done. He planned this, I said, voice shaking. All of it. You, me, both pregnancies. All of it. She looked stunned. Wait, you think he wanted this to happen? Not by accident, I said. On purpose. He wanted both. Then I remembered something. Something small. Stupid. But now? It felt like a clue. 6 months before I got pregnant, Mark had started acting extra kind. He brought me coffee in bed. Took the kids out more. He was affectionate again after months of being cold. And during that time, we stopped using protection. He said it was safe. Because he had the vasectomy. But now I knew that was a lie. He knew I wanted another baby. I had said it a few times over the years, usually in passing. He always said no. But what if he used that? What if he planned it like a trap? Get me pregnant again, while also having another baby with someone else, to force some twisted family setup? My head was spinning. That night, I went through his laptop while he was at work. It was easier than I thought. He never changed the password. Same one since college. Inside one folder, labeled Taxes 2021, were screenshots, emails, notes. He had written down everything. Schedules for me and the kids. When I was home. When I wasn't. Meal plans. Appointments. Even stuff about Tasha. Due dates. Birth plans. There was a document titled New Future Planned at Docs. I opened it. And what I read made me want to throw up. If this works, I'll have 2 families. She'll forgive me once the baby comes. She always forgives me. Tasha doesn't ask questions. I can handle both. Just need to keep the lies separate. He had planned it. Not just one mistake. Not a stupid affair. Not an accident. He had project managed a double life. He saw me as a piece on a chessboard. I printed everything. The next day, I gave it all to my lawyer. Every screenshot. Every lie. We filed for full custody. Restraining order. Financial protection. But then another twist. Mark's employer called me 2 days later. Hi, this is Megan from HR. We're trying to reach Mark. He hasn't shown up all week. Is everything okay? I blinked. He's been going to work every day. At least that's what he tells me. No, he left last Friday and hasn't returned. We've called. No response. I checked his location on my phone. Dead. I checked his email. Deleted. I went to the bank. Our joint account? Drained. Over $18,000. Gone. The last transaction was in another city. Denver. Mark had vanished. He ran. He ran with our money. He left me, Tasha, his 3 kids, just disappeared. Now I'm here with 2 lawyers, a PI, and 2 broken homes. I thought I married a man who didn't want more kids. Turns out I married a man who wanted a secret empire. And I think it's not just us. Because the PI just told me they found a 3rd woman in Colorado. And she just gave birth last year. I didn't sleep for 3 nights. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Mark's face. Not the man I married, but the man he really was. The man behind the charm, the fake smiles, the whispered lies. The PI confirmed it a week later. Mark was in Denver, living under a fake name. He rented a small apartment using cash and a prepaid phone. And yes, the rumors were true. There was a 3rd woman. Her name was Natalie. She had a 10-month-old baby girl. Same age as Sophie. The math lined up. Too perfectly. Natalie didn't know about me. Or Tasha. Or the kids. She thought Mark was a traveling construction worker who only came back every few weeks. He told her he had custody issues and a crazy ex who stalked him. Sound familiar? I wanted to scream. Instead, I flew to Denver. Tasha came with me. We met Natalie at a cafe. She brought the baby. She looked nervous, like she already sensed something wasn't right. We sat down. I handed her the folder. The one with all the proof. Bank records. Photos. Texts. Emails. A family tree Mark never meant for anyone to see. She flipped through it. Her hand flew to her mouth. Is this real? I nodded. He's the father of my daughter, she whispered. He's the father of 3 daughters, I said. She looked like she couldn't breathe. Tasha reached across the table. You didn't know. We didn't either. But now we do. Natalie's hands were shaking. What do we do now? That's when the idea came. Not just revenge. Justice. We filed a report with Denver PD, financial fraud, child endangerment, bigamy, abandonment. We hired a lawyer together. We froze his accounts. We flagged his social security number. We submitted everything to child services, all 3 states involved. We put his name and face on every parent forum, every social media group, every local news tip line. We created a profile, Mark R., wanted for abandoning 3 families in 3 states. It went viral. The comments poured in. And then, something none of us expected, another woman reached out. A 4th. No kid. But she said she dated Mark for 6 months while he was with all of us. He told her he was single. Just busy with work. He promised to marry her. She gave him $4,000 for a startup. He ghosted her. This time, it was her who found him. Took a photo of him getting into a rental car in Colorado Springs. Sent it to us. He had changed his hair. Grew a beard. Wearing sunglasses. But it was him. I called the PI. Gave him the tip. He tracked Mark's car to a motel. Cops were waiting. He tried to run. Didn't get far. They arrested him for fraud, identity deception, and child support evasion. He was handcuffed in front of that dusty old motel in his $12 Walmart jeans, looking like a man who had finally run out of road. And that's when I did the final thing. I wrote to every woman he ever dated. Every girl he cheated with. Every lie he told. I wrote it all down. Then I submitted the story to a true crime blog. They published it under the headline, The Man with 3 Families, How One Mother Brought a Sociopath to His Knees. It hit 1 million views in 3 days. Mark's mugshot was everywhere. His employer fired him. His license gone. His reputation ruined. He's in prison now. 7 years, no parole. Tasha's building a new life. Natalie got full custody and support. And me? I testified in court. Looked him dead in the eye and said, You didn't just lie. You built a world out of lies. And now it's crashing down. He didn't say a word. Didn't even cry. He just looked tired. Like the act was over, and he didn't know who he was anymore without it. And yeah, I made mistakes. I ignored the red flags. I trusted too much. Forgave too fast. I let charm blind me. But I also ended it. I exposed him. I protected my kids. And now, when Sophie gets older and asks where her dad is, I'll tell her the truth. Then I'll show her how I survived him.